Good morning. As we have gathered here from many different backgrounds and traditions, I invite you to let your thoughts mingle with mine as I offer this prayer. Holy and compassionate one, we come here this morning to celebrate and to show our gratitude for the gift of leadership. As a Queens community, we offer our thanks for this place that has educated leaders for over 150 years. We are grateful for those who have dedicated their lives to the civic good, equipping our students in and out of the classroom to care for our world and to live as we are called, not to be served, but to serve. We are grateful for the opportunity to foster knowledge, valuing curiosity about the world, and exploring subjects that will challenge us to open our eyes to new perspectives. We are grateful for the time to nurture relationships, affirming the deeply relational nature of learning and the courage to build bridges of understanding across difference. As we welcome President Lugo to Queens, open our hearts to offer encouragement, support, and love as he continues the work of so many before him. May his leadership at Queens guide this university to the best that it can be, and to be a voice for justice in our city, our country, and in our world. Amen. You may be seated.
Thank you very much, Joey, for those inspiring words and that inspiring prayer. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to go off script here for just one moment and remind us that this is a very serious ceremony. So if you would please make sure that your phones are silenced, I think that would be very appropriate. So I'll ask for you to do that. My name is Michael Tarwater, and I have the privilege of serving as the chair of Queens Board of Trustees. And on behalf of that board and the entire Queens community, it's my pleasure to welcome you to this incredibly special occasion. Today, we will install Daniel G. Lugo as the 21st president of this fine institution. President Lugo follows in the footsteps of 20 men and women who led Queens with vision and distinction for 162 years. I'm pleased to be joined today on the platform by President Emerita Pamela Davies, who will assist later in the ceremony. And we're also honored to be joined by several family members of other former presidents. So if you are a Queens First Family relative in attendance today, would you please stand and let us recognize you? Thank you. The occasion of an inauguration gives us a unique opportunity to reflect upon our history, our heritage, and our traditions. We also take this moment to look forward with great expectation to the bright future that lies ahead. And under the leadership of Daniel G. Lugo as our next president, I believe that that future is bright indeed. Queens is fortunate to have found a leader with the experience, vision, and drive of Dan Lugo. The Presidential Search Committee had no shortage of qualified candidates, but it quickly became clear that one stood out with distinction. I'm thrilled that we were successful in our search for someone who has what it takes to build upon Queens' very strong foundations and to take us to the next level of success. We're happy to have Dan's wife and children here with us today as well, and we welcome you, Tina, Amanda, and Michael, today as Queens' new first family. And I would ask that you stand so that we might recognize you. Thank you. We're also delighted to have Dr. David Green, president of Colby College, here to introduce Dan and to present him as Queen's president. Serving as the 20th president of Colby College, Dr. Green has been executing an ambitious program for ensuring Colby's place among the nation's finest liberal arts colleges. Thank you, Dr. Green, for being here with us today and for being the fine role model that you are and were for Dan as he worked alongside you. And thank you for having supported him in his pursuit of the opportunity that we're celebrating here today. Others joining me on stage today are Mayor Vi Lyles, Mike Tarabak, Taylor Lee Robinson, Adelaide Davis, who will bring us greetings from our city, the faculty, the staff, the students, and the alumni. The Reverend Suzanne Henderson will also play a part in the ceremony this morning. Before we begin the program, I want to take a moment to extend a special thank you to all who have been involved in the search process and in the presidential transition. The search committee, the transition committee, the 100 Days Committee, and the Inauguration Committee have all been very busy in helping President Lugo hit the ground running as he begins to establish himself on campus and throughout the community. They have kept him very busy. They've already accomplished a great deal in the first 3 months he's been in office. Obviously, today is a day of celebration, and again, we are so pleased that you are here to celebrate this with us. Thank you for being here. There are several special guests who are going to be participating in today's ceremony, particularly 3 featured artists. Queen's alumna Bree Stallings, class of 2013, has a bird's eye view, I think, right up there. I can't see her, but perhaps you can. She's creating a live painting of the ceremony as we speak to commemorate today's inauguration. It'll be a lasting tribute of this historic ceremony. We also welcome Grammy Award-winning artists Mark and Maggie O'Connor, who you've heard from already, who now call Charlotte home. Their performance of classical music infused with traditional folk music as today's processional and recessional is intended to celebrate our North Carolina heritage. Thank you, Bree, Mark, and Maggie, and thank all of you for being here today to show your support for Queens. Now I'd like to turn your attention to the video board, where we will learn a little bit more about President Lugo's transition. And after the video, we'll welcome the Honorable Vi Alexander Lyles, Mayor of Charlotte, and, I might add, Queen's alumna, to the podium. Thank you.
Our faculty and staff love the traditions of Queens. They are just deeply immersed in everything this institution has done and what it means to this community. But I think that they're ready for a new page to be turned in who we can be as Queens University and what role we can play in the city of Charlotte. I think that Queens is sitting in a position of strength. Our model of education is world-class. The liberal arts college and our general education curriculum combined with a 21st century approach to giving our students real-world experiences with multiple internship opportunities, where they're having opportunities to study and work internationally through the John Bell program. And we're having opportunities because of the Wells Fargo Center for Community Engagement for them to get out to the community and not only be of service, but to have an exchange of real academic experience. Now, because of the Yes and promise, be able to articulate how all of those experiences have made their education stronger, how they're able to take what they learned in the classroom and to do those things outside of the classroom is truly exceptional. I'm blown away by the relationship that Queens has with Charlotte. we choose to be at the table with the architects of the next generation of what Charlotte should be and become, I think that we can really benefit in a transformational way to be synonymous with a world-class city like Charlotte. We are also a part of creating tactics and interventions that move communities forward. I think about our Digital Charlotte initiative that is a part of the Knight School of Communication, which is brilliantly tackling the topic of digital inclusion. You know, Charlotte has become a hotbed of technology opportunities. I'm pushing this community to think about how can we infuse a 21st century curriculum based on the liberal arts with exposure to more computational work, more data analytic work, so we can make our students even more competitive when they get out into the workforce. Well, I think it's incredibly important that we become known as a first choice destination. I believe we can do that by really investing in our programs. And then we've got to really tell our story. We've got to tell our story here and tell it to new audiences across the country. And then we've got to compete for the mind share and the leadership share of the best students in the country. And I'm confident that Queen's University of Charlotte can do that.
Good morning. For the Chair, Tarwater, President Lugo, the Queen's faculty, staff, students, alumni, and friends, I'm delighted to be here today to bring you greetings from the city of Charlotte. My name is Vi Lyles, and I serve as mayor of this great city. As a student and now a proud alumna, I have witnessed many milestones on this beautiful campus. I am honored and privileged to participate in the ceremony today when we welcome Queen's 21st President, Daniel G. Lugo. I can tell you already, after just a few meetings with President Lugo, that he truly understands what a special place Queens is. Now, I've had the chance to admire the great work of leaders such as Billy Wireman and our own Pamela Davies. And I am so proud of this institution that has been built here. It is truly what I believe to be a beacon in our city. The Queen's position as a leader in Charlotte's higher public education community has never been stronger. Stimulating intellectual curiosity, both on the campus and in the community, is an important mission. For Queens, we have programs such as Learning Society Speakers, deliberative dialogues, and other events that have been an important cultural resource for our Charlotte residents. The impact of Queens on our city is immeasurable, from its influence on the arts community, which will only be enhanced by the new Gambrell Center, to the talented interns and graduates who make significant contributions to our community. Our Fortune 500 companies, the successful athletic teams who bring vibrancy and pride to all of us, who proudly cheer on the Royals. Civic engagement is important to our students, and our city has certainly benefited from the passionate and committed Queen's students, faculty, staff, and alumni who live out our motto of service on a daily basis. I know that increased engagement with the city to tackle several societal challenges is a personal priority for President Lugo, and I say to you that our city looks forward to expanding the opportunities for partnerships. Whether we're going to however we work for better equity and access to higher education, promoting digital literacy, or looking for ways to just improve the lives every day of the people that live here, I believe that we are going to achieve great things together. Thank you for allowing me to be here today, and on behalf of all of the residents of Charlotte, we say, welcome to you, President Daniel G. Lugo, and congratulations.
Thank you, Mayor Lyles. Queens community and special guests, welcome. My name is Mike Tarabek, and it is my pleasure and my privilege to deliver some words of greeting on behalf of the faculty and staff of Queen's University of Charlotte. We, the faculty and staff, share a very important job, all of us, from our new president all the way down to me at the bottom. Prepare our students to find fulfillment in their futures. The faculty do that through an educational process of question and answer, lecturing and listening, critical thought, and vigorous debate. The ultimate goal is not just to transfer facts, but rather to arm our students with knowledge, amplified with intellect, inquisitiveness, and integrity, which will carry them to success in many facets of their lives. Queen's staff members broaden and strengthen this process by providing challenging student development programs and a variety of excellent academic resources and support services. Of course, all this takes place within our beautiful campus community, a physical space that members of staff maintain as a healthy and comfortable learning environment. And we all keep the one goal in mind, that we are here to help students make themselves as best they can be. Together, the faculty and staff of Queen's make a pretty effective team, and today we are pleased to welcome Dan Lugo as our newest team member. President Lugo, we look forward to continuing the good work of Queen's community under your leadership. We have spent the last few months getting to know each other. We clearly see that you endorse our educational mission, embrace our tradition of service to others, and share our vision of a comprehensive university built upon a foundation of the liberal arts. So as we begin the next chapter of Queen's University of Charlotte, let us all commit ourselves anew to this educational endeavor. And although the task is too important to be taken lightly, let's make sure to have a little fun along the way. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Tarabeck. Good morning, everyone. My name is Taylor Robinson, and I am the current president of student government. On behalf of the student body, it is an honor to officially welcome President Lugo to the Royals family. This is the moment in the program where I express how excited students are to see President Lugo embrace the Queen's experience. From the Sedman ceremony, recognizing our commitment to the honor code, to the social event of the year, casino night, to the scrumptious meal eaten at Boar's Head. These are all important events that would send any pure Royals blood pumping. However, I want to welcome President Lugo on a more personal note. Early in the semester, President Lugo attended one of our SGA meetings to meet student senators and share his vision for Queens. During the meeting, one of our incredible Senate leaders boldly asked President Lugo, "In your opinion, what makes a great leader?" President Lugo sat back in a brief moment of deep thought before responding. "Not one thing makes a great leader," he said. "But what all great leaders have in common is a passion for bringing out the best in their communities. Leaders should not try and sustain only themselves. When leaders are doing a great job, they are empowering other leaders around them. Leaders make sacrifices, personally and institutionally, for the benefit of all." What more could our community ask for? As an institution dedicated to the pursuit of knowledge and subsequent development of the world's future leaders, President Lugo embodies not only the qualities of a good leader, but the crucial skill of inspiring our generation. Today is a day that will be written in Charlotte's history. Together, we welcome a new leader to the Queens and Charlotte community. On behalf of every student at Queens, welcome President Lugo to our royal family.
I am Adelaide Davis, and I'm honored to be here today on behalf of greetings from the alumni and friends of Queens. As some of you may know, I came to Queens in the fall of 1957 as a freshman and have loved this school ever since. The Alumni Office has been my home away from home for over 36 years now, and I've come to understand and appreciate how much all our alumni and friends love this special place too. Just looking at the royal impressive line of alumni represented today from classes all the way back to 1945 shows that. This morning, I'm proud to present President Lugo with a book that tells some of Queens' fascinating history. Dr. Mildred McEwen wrote the book. She was a Queens graduate herself and a chemistry professor here for over 30 years. The book begins with a story about Queens being founded by Presbyterians in 1857. Presbyterians believed then and still believe in an educated electorate, and therefore founded many colleges in the country, including Johnson C. Smith and Davidson College nearby. I love this direct quote from the book about why founders chose Charlotte, and biology may be interested in this. The direct quote says, "The town of Charlotte is the terminus of 2 railroads, with a third in the course of construction, and that it gives easy access to the town. It is surrounded by a moral and intelligent population, and with industry and efficiency, no difficulty is apprehended in building up an institution of the first class." So from the very beginning, Queens founders and leaders set the goal of Queens being a first-class institution, and our past presidents and leaders have supported that purpose. In fact, when Queens was moved in 1914 from downtown Charlotte to this beautiful campus in the center of Myers Park, many of the streets around Queens were named for prestigious, well-known colleges across the country, such as Wellesley, Radcliffe, Harvard, Stanford, Princeton, and Yale. Pretty good company. Over these past 162 years, along with the city of Charlotte, Queens has grown from a small college for women with 110 in the first graduating class to over 2,400 current students, including 2 of my own grandsons, who come from more than 40 states and 70 different countries across the globe. And so now, President Lugo, you will be the one who will help lead and write the next chapter in Queens history. Please know that our incredibly loyal alumni and friends are here to support you in any way we can, with industry and efficiency. Best wishes to you as you begin your tenure as our 21st president. Oh, wait a minute. Here's the book.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Awake, all you, who from the lands listen to the evening sound. Fire burn, alight the sky, the deepest night arise. Mighty Luna, sing out to Luna. Sing, oh sing, powerful Luna, dance the night away. Let the world be filled with desire. Magical Luna, light our fire. Through the mystic lights that appear, you save all from fear of dark and gray. Show us, Luna, shine your light and power. Trust our eyes to see. Make us see the light Make us see the beauty and enchanting magic beams. It begins.
morning. Mr. Chairman, thank you for welcoming us to this extraordinary and talented community. It is a true honor to be with you today and to present my friend, President Daniel Lugo, to the trustees, faculty, staff, students, alumni, and friends of this great university. Much is made at this moment of the challenges facing higher education, and we should make no mistake, they are very real. Among them, major demographic shifts in the country, particularly in the college-age-going population. Growing income inequality and wage stagnation for many Americans, the high price of a college education that is out of reach for too many, questions about the relevance of the liberal arts, long the gold standard of education the world over, increased distrust in American institutions, including higher education, the politicization of campuses, and threats to free inquiry and expression, hallmarks of deep learning and scholarship, the forces of globalization and the counter-threat of nationalism and protectionism, the vilification of immigrants and foreign students who have long seen the U.S. universities as beacons of freedom, progress, and excellence. In the Northeast, where I'm from, we are seeing record numbers of college closures, and we should expect that trend to continue there and throughout the country in the years ahead. It is right to be concerned about these trends. But it is equally important to know that many institutions will emerge from these stormy days stronger, more vibrant, and better positioned to meet their missions. Queen's University of Charlotte has the two most important prerequisites to be among the new forerunners of American higher education: a capacity for innovation and brilliant leadership. I want to say a few words about each. In its 162 years, Queen's University has reinvented itself time and again to better reflect the needs of the country and this community. From its founding, it created opportunities for women to receive a higher education when others closed their doors. It met the needs of returning GIs following World War II and working adults through the establishment of the new college in the 1970s. From full co-education to becoming a university this century, this institution has always dared to identify new ways to serve. I see that same dynamism and outward focus in today's Queen's Advantage, in your important global emphasis, your online programs, and the partnerships and acquisitions you have made to broaden your reach and impact. That history tells us all that we need to know, that there is no risk here of complacency, of standing pat when adaptability, change, and innovation are required. The future of higher education does not belong to the wealthiest and best-known universities, despite all the advantages those places have obtained. It belongs to the bold and daring universities, those deeply connected to the world, ready to experiment and take risks, while maintaining an unwavering commitment to serving their students and communities. Queen's University of Charlotte will be one of those bright lights that illuminate new pathways that others will gladly follow. And I know that will happen because this community won the lottery of good fortune and foresight when it named Dan Lugo as president. I had the privilege of working with Dan at Colby College, where he set Colby on an historic trajectory. I've literally traveled the world with Dan. I've spent time with him talking about the important things in our lives, our families, our backgrounds and perspectives, the issues that challenge and motivate us, and our mission-driven lives that give us meaning and purpose. A presidential search process, no matter how carefully construed, is necessarily impressionistic, as are these first months when a community comes to know its new leader. And Dan makes an outstanding impression. But here's what I really want you to appreciate. The more you know him, the more you know about him, the more you will admire and respect him. With time, you will recognize his brilliance and integrity, undeniable goodness, endless compassion, and his persistent drive to bring out the very best of this wonderful university. You will come to know the commitment and love he has for his family, Tina Marie, Amanda, and Michael. You will benefit from this amazing family's warmth, creativity, and their beautiful, understated, generous way of building community. I remember the first time I met Dan. I was struck immediately by his combination of humility and wisdom. It's such a powerful pairing. Dan is a listener, a collaborator, a partner. He never needs to be the smartest person in the room, but he usually is. He sees connections where others only see disparate parts. He understands nuance when others only see bright lines. His analyses are deep and complex when others are focused on the superficial. And while he is a careful assessor of risks, his gaze is always focused ahead, seeing the possibilities when others only see challenges. Dan is the right leader for this moment. When our national models for leadership are about self-interest and self-protection, Dan leads through principles and values and puts the needs of others and of the university in front of his own. Queen's University of Charlotte, your new president is a man of integrity. You can count on that. And he's a powerful, effective leader, fueled by those intersecting, lovely, rare qualities of being both brilliant and selfless. It is my honor to present to you the 21st president of Queen's University of Charlotte, Daniel G. Lugo.
Well, I just have to say thank you, Dr. Green. Daniel G. Lugo, you've been duly selected to serve as president of Queen's University of Charlotte, and it is my great pleasure as chair of the Board of Trustees to now officially install you in this position with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities pertaining thereto. You've been given a great privilege and entrusted with tremendous responsibility. Responsibility to our students to ensure the quality of their educational experience. Responsibility to our faculty and staff to be a bold and visionary leader who supports their work to transform the lives of our students. To our alumni to uphold the rigor, values, honor, and integrity that are synonymous with Queen's and our motto of service that is shared commitment throughout the Queen's community. And finally, responsibility to our city, nation, and the world to ensure that through scholarship and service, Queen's impacts and enhances the intellectual and cultural fabric of its community and beyond. If you are willing to assume these responsibilities, please raise your hand. Do you, Dan Lugo, pledge that as president of Queen's University, you will, to the best of your ability, uphold its mission of providing transformative educational experience that nurture intellectual curiosity, promote global understanding, encourage ethical living, and prepare individuals for purposeful and fulfilling lives. If you do so solemnly pledge, say I do.
I do.
I now invite President Emerita Pamela Davies to join me at the podium to assist in presenting the Presidential Medallion, the official chain of office. By accepting this Presidential Medallion, you will accept the charge to lead with diligence, dedication, vision, and integrity, and with energy as you carry out the duties of this position and ultimately live according to our motto of service, non ministrare, sed ministrare. If you do, say, I will.
I will.
By the power vested in me by the Board of Trustees, I officially declare you, Daniel G. Lugo, invested as the 21st President of Queen's University of Charlotte and charge you with the responsibilities pertaining to the office.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. To our distinguished guests, presidential colleagues, and their delegates, faculty, staff, and students, families and alumni, including the 75 Royal Line alumni representing Queen's classes from 1945 through 2023, welcome to Queen's on this beautiful October day. While today we celebrate the inauguration of Queen's as 21st President in the 162 years of our existence, this is only our third inauguration in the last 41 years. Queen's has been blessed with many great presidents of long tenure and accomplishment, and yet surely no tenure was better and no president more successful than Dr. Pamela Davies. So, as I start my remarks by offering a few thank yous and acknowledgments, I thank Dr. Davies for her 17 years of outstanding leadership and enduring commitment to Queen's. There is no question that you will always hold a special place in our university's history and in all of our hearts. Queen's University of Charlotte trustees, who are so ably led by our board chair, Michael Tarwater, I have enjoyed getting to know many of you over the last 9 months and deeply admire your passion for Queen's and confidence in our future. Thank you for the trust you have placed in me. To Michael Marsicano, who chaired the Presidential Search Committee, and members of the Search Committee, thank you for recommending me for this opportunity of a lifetime. Thank you, Mayor Lyles, for your kind welcome to Charlotte. Your presence powerfully signifies the interdependence between Queen's and our great home city of Charlotte. Your leadership as one of the finest mayors in our country makes us proud every day to recognize you as one of our most beloved alumni. Thank you, President Green, for your wisdom and very kind introduction. Your leadership at Colby and in our sector and your personal mentorship continues to inspire me. When a first-generation college attender like me successfully navigates his way to become a university president, there are so many people to thank, many more than I have time to acknowledge now, but the list would start with my loving parents, Claire and Rod Lugo, who both grew up as very poor children of the Depression era and World War II. My parents provided a home and childhood where their hard work and discipline led by example, and what I never wanted for anything. From a young age, they importantly always set high expectations for my academic and life achievement. My parents are now 88 and 86, and both were unable to make the trip down to Charlotte, but I know that they are both here with us in spirit. It is truly an amazing and quintessentially American story that only one generation after my mother grew up in the Virgin Islands without electricity and an indoor plumbing that I am in this position. I'm honored that my oldest sister, Kara, is here with us representing my childhood family. Thank you. I am so blessed and thankful to have my wife and 2 children here to celebrate with me. Amanda and Michael, I'm so proud of you and excited about all of the ways you are already immersing yourselves into the Charlotte community and finding ways to make a positive impact. And of course, I cannot thank my wife, Tina Marie, enough. If you were to ask me what's the biggest secret to my success, the constant support and inspiration from my wife would be the most important reason of all. What a journey we have had, and this is a dream come true for both of us. Thank you. As an educator whose life was transformed twice by my engagement with higher education, I must also thank the heroic teachers in Amityville, Long Island that saw my early potential, and the many professors at Carleton College and the University of Minnesota Law School that empowered my intellectual and professional growth. What we do every day in this higher education calling truly transforms lives, families, and communities, and I know this because I experienced it firsthand. We take this time and moment to recommit our energy and focus to the betterment of Queens within earshot of a tumultuous and noisy world, be it the political, social, environmental, or educational landscapes. Our hyper-partisan world appears paralyzed and unable to take action for the common good. But as I learn more and more about Queens, I grow more optimistic about our future and more confident that it is Queens' calling to serve and lead at this time. As I mentioned, we gather today in serious and sobering times, as the vast majority of our undergraduate students in the class of 2023 were born after 2001. It is important to always remember that these students have never experienced a time when the United States was not at war. How does this backdrop for their lives influence their experience, their studies, their choices, especially as the drumbeat for additional armed international conflict grows? Adding to these geopolitical challenges, the world contends with the unprecedented and unpredictable effects of disrupted and changing climate patterns. National leadership remains absent as we lose precious time to develop and execute adequate planning to mitigate the effects. Locally, we find ourselves in one of the nation's fastest growing cities and economies, even as we confront the persistent and complex challenge of generating accessible and equitable socioeconomic systems that provide generations overdue relief for so many of our long-standing Charlotte community members, to empower them to compete for opportunities that can launch them, their families, and their communities to the American dream and the promise of economic mobility. And as our economy continues to be fueled by net migration of population, questions persist about Charlotte's ability to generate and reskill its workforce for the far more technical, computational, and data-oriented careers that are required for a 21st century workforce. With so much going on externally, we would hope that the U.S. higher education community would be in its healthiest form. But as we all know, our industry is also subject to significant disruptions. After decades of growth, the population of high school graduates has declined, and the population forecasts for the next decade look even more grim. As a result of decreased birth rates during the Great Recession, the traditional college-going population in the United States will decrease by more than 10% from 2026 to the early to mid-2030s. How are we preparing for this coming change? How can we best ensure that every qualified and highly motivated high school student from around the world and every adult, working professional, and veteran who is seeking additional education in our community knows about the excellent opportunities that our university offers? As U.S. wages continue to stagnate and the cost of providing a competitive education increase, Fewer and fewer Americans can afford to pay the comprehensive costs associated with attending college. And even as national data continues to demonstrate that a college degree adds a greater than $1 million lifetime earnings premium in favor of college graduates versus those with only a high school degree, a once unsupportable argument and narrative has gained strength and firmly taken hold in the media and popular culture, questioning the value of college attendance. Within this climate, how do we further ensure that our undergraduate and graduate students' intellectual experience have immediate and measurable economic value in the real world that they enter today and for a lifetime? What are the best ways for us to expand our partnerships with Charlotte businesses and nonprofits? As many of you know, jobs in Charlotte's technology sector grew at twice the rate of the United States average over the last 5 years. How can we partner with organizations like Bank of America, Lowe's, Wells Fargo, Honeywell, Ally, to only name a few, to best position our students to compete for these opportunities and to make an impact in this growing sector? As many of you know, Queens' motto, not to be served but to serve, has been a guiding star and way of life for our generations of Queens students, graduates, and community members. Since its adoption in 1930, Queens faculty, staff, and students have committed thousands and thousands of hours of service to improve the lives of others. This commitment to service is one of our truly most noble endeavors and measures of our success. In fact, just this Tuesday, 115 Queens faculty, staff, and students volunteered their time at nonprofits across the city in tribute to this inauguration moment. Time and time again, Queens has answered the call for those in need. Today, I encourage us to expand our calling for service and to consider the many ways that Queens is called to serve by leading and addressing many of the most challenging issues of our sector, our city, and the nation. The good news is that throughout our history, Queens has time and time again demonstrated an ability to meet the challenges of our times. So national leadership and service are a natural part of our DNA. Whether we hearken back to our founding in 1857, a time when access to higher education for women was rare, Queens founders dedicated our institution to the exclusive education of women years ahead of all but one of the famed Seven Sisters colleges of the Mid-Atlantic and New England. Now that was national leadership. Queens is led by redefining itself, its scale, its mission, by acquiring higher education institutions like we did in 1930 with Cora College, or in 2004 with the Presbyterian School of Nursing, or becoming fully co-educational college in 1987, or becoming a comprehensive university in 1993 with the addition of the McCall School of Business. Today, I encourage our beloved Queens and its supporters to rise again, to meet new challenges, to redefine our scale and mission, to fully extend beyond our beautiful and comfortable confines here in Myers Park, and to lead for Charlotte and the world. On October 30th, 1978, in his inaugural address, that I'm sure several of you actually witnessed, Queens President Dr. Billy Wireman recommended and described a certain form of leadership for his tenure that sounds even more appropriate today for Queens. Dr. Wireman called on Queens to embrace a time for transforming leadership, which he described as always evolving, creating. It requires a sense of momentum, asks people to subordinate themselves to a larger cause. The institution must be going somewhere, doing something, becoming something. People involved must believe that collectively they can become something that is not within their capacity to achieve individually. I say that Dr. Wireman was right, and that we have arrived at another important moment to embrace Queens' need for transforming leadership. Are we not called to serve and lead, to be a co-designer, policymaker, and architect for an even more equitable city of Charlotte, where our faculty and students can use applied research to test and develop social, educational, and business interventions that spur healthy economic mobility for communities that have been too long left behind in Charlotte? I think of the many ways that this powerful work has already begun at Queens and is most powerfully represented by the work led by our Digital Charlotte initiative of the Knight School of Communication, where new and nationally recognized approaches to addressing the digital divide and promoting digital inclusion are chipping away at the exclusionary firewalls created by digital illiteracy and poor access to high-speed internet. Are we not called to serve and lead in providing solutions to Charlotte's economic mobility challenges by directly establishing talent pipelines to underserved and underrepresented schools and communities to recruit, fund and educate students with vast potential for leadership, and to launch them into careers and positions of leadership that positively alter their life opportunities and exponentially raise the sights of their home communities. This work has already begun, with 30% of our undergraduate students being eligible for federal Pell Grant support, but we must do more. In an environment where we are frequently reminded of the disruptive forces challenging the viability of many small private universities, are we not called to serve and lead by creating new approaches to growth through partnership and collaboration, and to use the advantages of our nimble size and agility that can serve as a model for other similarly situated institutions nationally? The American higher education system is the envy of the world because of its successful leveraging of academic freedom and philanthropic investment, and importantly, because of the incredible diversity of institutional types that have flourished and served the educational needs of their communities and millions of students. Small private universities are an essential part of our American higher education ecosystem, and we must take seriously our need to serve and lead by demonstrating how these types of institutions can and will thrive in the 21st century and beyond. In times of great and nearly insurmountable challenges, our nation has successfully looked to higher education for innovation and solutions that have moved our country forward. As America transitioned from its most destructive, costly, and painful internal conflict, which caused the then national debt to multiply by 40-fold, through the Morrill Land Grant Acts, the United States created dozens of land-grant colleges and universities focused on agricultural and manufacturing that fueled America's ability to become the most dominant manufacturing and agricultural nation in the world. After the worst depression in the nation's history, on the heels of a world war that caused nearly 500,000 Americans to lose their lives, and with a 114% national debt to GDP ratio, the GI Bill educated nearly 8 million veterans, which fueled the growth of American business dominance and created a never-before-experienced, prosperous, and economically powerful middle class. Today, as we stand in the midst of our current national maelstrom of international conflict, climate change, globalization, and rapid automation of our economy, and with a 110% national debt to GDP ratio, isn't it time to look to the power of massive investment in higher education yet again? While I'm hopeful that we will all do our part to actively remind our national and state leadership about the transformational economic and social power of our sector, my dozens of meetings with the corporate, civic, nonprofit leadership of Charlotte gives me absolute confidence that the leadership of Charlotte understands the importance of raising up its higher education institutions to generate powerful solutions and growth. Charlotte gets it. This is why I was so thankful and honored by the presidents of Davidson College, Johnson C. Smith University, Central Piedmont Community College, and the Chancellor of UNC Charlotte for their willingness to publicly start a conversation this past Wednesday evening about what our institutions need to do in partnership to fuel transformational growth of all kinds in our Charlotte region. Through all the darkness of our times, my hope springs eternal as a result of my daily interactions with our Queens students and faculty. Now in my 16th year spent on college campuses, I am even more confident that if we continue to invest in our students and faculty and scale our efforts, we have a fighting chance to meet the challenges that my generation and older generations have been unable or unwilling to solve. Queens faculty and students are ready to lead. For example, Queens professor Dr. Reed Perkins, our Sam and Carolyn McMahon Professor of Environmental Science and Chemistry, and the 2007 North Carolina Professor of the Year. Reed's applied research in the Micronesian Islands has been ongoing for 20 years. During that time, students and additional faculty have created and recommended environmental interventions that have helped to nearly eradicate a harmful invasive weed species, improve land and resource management practices, and preserve vital and fragile cultural landmarks as that region prepares for the impacts of climate change. Dr. Reed Perkins is ready to lead. In cutting-edge and nationally significant ways, our Queens faculty are working collaboratively across disciplines and with the Charlotte community to address some of the nation's toughest subjects. This fall semester, Queens is spearheading a perfect example of this model, where faculty are leading a multi-format investigation of race and its impact in the criminal justice system. This campus and the citywide exploration will be highlighted by our Queens Learning Society speaker, legal scholar Michelle Alexander, as she visits Queens and Charlotte on November 19th, and she engages the Charlotte community in the critically important research behind her book, The New Jim Crow: Mass Incarceration in the Age of Colorblindness. Queens faculty are ready to lead. We need not look far into our student body for inspiration and leadership. I so enjoyed hearing earlier from our SGA president, Taylor Robinson. Taylor, who embodies everything that we can ask for in a student, a community member, a responsible citizen, and a prized future leader for any organization. Taylor's a homeschooled high school student from Charlotte, in a most interdisciplinary and Queens way, has been empowered to merge her passions for art history, leadership, and entrepreneurship at Queens. This past spring, Taylor took second place in Queens' inaugural business pitch competition, presenting her children's education and art history company, Litavis. Later in the summer, with her appetite newly whetted by competition and entrepreneurship, Taylor competed in a global pitch competition for the International Digiprize contest, hosted by the ESCA School of Management in France, where Litavis took first place. This will allow Taylor to study at the ESCA school and further develop her business. Taylor Robinson is ready to lead. Or we can look to one of my favorite student athletes, Hannah Aspden. Hannah, a sophomore from Raleigh, North Carolina, is one of our NCAA national champion swimmers. And for folks that don't know, we are currently the 5-time defending Division II national champion for both men's and women's swimming. Just saying. Hannah Aspden was born without a left leg, but that has never stopped her from being a fiercely competitive international athletic leader. Hannah first represented the United States in competition at the age of 13 and has competed in the Paralympic Games in Rio de Janeiro and most recently this summer in Lima, Peru, where at the Parapan Games she won 2 gold medals and 5 medals in total. While competing internationally, Hannah excels in the classroom as a communications and media major. She is preparing to represent Queens and Team USA in Tokyo in 2022. Hannah Aspden is ready to lead. During the presidential search, I enjoyed getting to know our senior biochemistry major, Chioma Ngene, from Cary, North Carolina. Chioma has a passion for medical research, which ignited her decision to become a physician. During her time at Queens, Chioma has experienced 2 competitive research internships, first at Michigan State University to study the bacterium that causes tuberculosis, and then at the General Surgery Lab of Atrium Health, where she studied surgical outcomes of bariatric surgery. She has presented at conferences, participated in a mission trip to Guatemala, and has learned to play 3 instruments while at Queens. Unfortunately, Chioma isn't on campus to enjoy all of this attention because she is currently studying away in the United Arab Emirates to learn Arabic heritage, language, and math. Chioma Ngene is ready to lead. Although we all can sometimes feel smothered by the realities of our challenging world, as members of this incredible Queens community, we should have great confidence and optimism about our future. President Green, you are right. Because of our history of innovation and our incredible legacy and current capacity for leadership, Queens is in perfect position to be among the new forerunners of American higher education. Being a part of this Queens community provides us all with daily inspiration. It is the honor of my lifetime to be entrusted with the responsibility to lead this great university and community. And as I look out at this gathering, I am deeply humbled by the support, energy, and goodwill of our community members and visiting delegates. Queens is ready to serve. Queens is ready to lead. Thanks to all of your support, I am ready to lead. Thank you, and go Royals.
Please remain standing for our final blessing. Our hearts are full. What an august and festive occasion this morning's ceremony, and indeed the whole week's events, have been. We've gathered as members of the extended Queens family, along with friends and campus neighbors near and far, to cheer on President Lugo, affirming our support for his vision and his leadership as together we live out Queens' life-changing, world-changing mission. As we go from this place, may we do so nourished by the deep roots of our cherished tradition. We claim a Presbyterian heritage that seeks truth wherever it may be found, that promotes education for the common good, and that honors the sacred image in all people. May such roots in turn extend our reach as we foster deep belonging for all, mutual understanding across difference, and soulful reflection on our calling, not to be served, but to serve. President Lugo, as our freshly minted leader, you embody vital aspects of both our deep roots and our broad reach. Know that we are with you, pulling for you, learning from you and alongside you, occasionally thoughtfully challenging you. As we join you in serving our students and our world with diligence and energy and love. Now receive this final blessing. Friends, colleagues, as we turn toward a new day at Queens, may God nurture in us a resilient faithfulness on the road that lies ahead. May God imbue within us a collective wisdom that informs all our thoughts, our words, and our actions. May God surprise us with times of laughter and renewal when we need it most. May God sharpen our sense of justice and kindle our compassion toward one another and toward ourselves. May God transform our weak places into sources of strength and make our strong places channels of blessing for others. May God continue the good work of fashioning this Queens community as a vessel of hope, abundant life, and shalom for our needy world. Go in peace. Amen.